Today I'm going to be speaking with Valerio Bernabo, an e-commerce store owner who 5x'd his Shopify revenue in under 6 months by following my advice on a handful of Google Ads optimizations. Valerio runs an Australian e-commerce business called Trade Hero Australia, and they specialize in high-ticket B2B products, including tools and machinery for construction businesses. We're going to talk about all the strategies we put in place that literally caused Valerio to run out of stock because he sold so much. We're going to cover bid strategy, budget management, the power of PMax, asset group structure, and a whole lot more. If you're new here, my name is Daryl. I've been running a Google Ads agency called Big Flare for over 13 years now, working with e-commerce businesses all over the world. All right, enough from me. Let's dive into my conversation with Valerio.
Valerio, welcome to the show, my man. It's great to have you here today.
My pleasure, Daryl.
Tell me a bit about Trade Hero and what you guys are all about. Like, who do you sell to, who are your customers, and what are your products like?
We started Trade Hero Australia 8 years ago. Obviously, an e-commerce based in Australia. We specialize in heavy tools and machinery for construction mostly. We found a gap in the Australian market, especially from a logistic perspective. Not many people want to handle heavy machinery. We have a warehouse in Melbourne, and we look after the whole process from a very close connection with the 17 different manufacturers that we have in China, the freight forwarding to import the goods in Australia. Obviously, we buy wholesales, and then we apply digital marketing strategy to sell online retails, and we look after the whole logistic from the freight forwarding to the domestic shipping in Australia.
Nice. Obviously, you guys have been running Google Ads for a little while before you and I first talked. How long had you been doing Google Ads when we first talked? And also, what was the situation at that point as well?
Yeah, very good question, actually. And I guess that's why we are here. And
Indeed.
I still have the regret of not finding you beforehand. We started mostly on marketplaces. Not many people know, but in Australia, especially historically, eBay has been much bigger than Amazon, and because Amazon launched decades after eBay in Australia. So we started on eBay, then Amazon, and we didn't really believed or used much our own website on Shopify at the beginning. Then we did, and it was going all right. We put a little bit of paid ads, and we found some decent level of success just by mere luck. I regret it a lot, not understanding the power of paid ads in the first place, but mostly specifically PMax campaign. I didn't believe in it. I don't know why exactly I didn't. It was single-handed one of the biggest mistake for me, underestimating the power of PMax. And then there is another factor, which is like you're gonna meet the right people, I guess. We had some previous engagement with other company. We received like some generic advices, but with you, when we engaged first in October 2025, we made a huge jump forward.
Nice. Well, let's talk about that in just a moment, but first let's set the stage a bit. So why did you reach out to me in the first place? Like, obviously you were in the market looking for some help with Google Ads at the time, but what was the challenge that was making you think, oh gosh, I got to get some help in here?
So I was running the PMax on my own, and I thought it was going okay, but I thought also maybe there is some untapped potential. Maybe it's better that I do a little bit more digging to understand if there is some room for optimization. And that's how I started doing my own research. And that's how I stumbled across your YouTube channel. Big fan of your YouTube channel. Your style, no fluff, no BS, very practical, has captivated my attention. And then from there, I decided to get in touch directly with you and get your services. And that's how I decided to go ahead first with an initial consultation with you that has been extremely positive, extremely huge benefit. We received a huge benefit, and then from there we did some other catch up to improve and optimize from the first initial consultation when I realized that I was doing a lot of mistakes. So the jump forward that we made were tremendous.
So you mentioned you were doing lots of mistakes. Like what were some of the mistakes you were doing beforehand?
Yeah, the Google Ads profile settings. There were many settings that were wrong in the first place. The major one would have been the goal tracking on like the source of the goal tracking. There is primary and secondary. One is Google Analytics, the other one is directly from Shopify. I don't remember exactly what was the mistake. And I remember they were both primary, so I was pretty much double counting the conversions. Yeah. There was one, and then also I was strangling the campaign with the budget.
And if I remember right, you were limited by budget, and you had this like super high ROAS target.
Yeah.
I remember
And I
seeing
was
that.
feeling good about having a super high ROAS. I thought it was genius.
Yeah, and then I had to come along and throw a cold bucket of reality on your face. Sorry about that.
No, it was the best thing ever, because when you said two simple word, remove the limitation by budget, spike it up, give it room to go. That was the best advice I might have received in 8 years that I'm in business.
Wow.
And like, obviously, I received it with hesitation because I thought, I don't know if I should trust the PMax with infinite budget. Then, let me trust this guy. And here we are like 6 months later, I think 5x more in revenue from the revenue that I'm getting on Shopify.
Wow. 5x in revenue. And you mentioned budget increase and like adjusting some settings and dropping your ROAS targets. Can you remember any of the other changes that we made or that you made after our first session that helped with your Google Ads?
Yeah, everything was under the same asset group, and I didn't have many assets in the first place in the asset group. And that was also, I suppose, one good step towards a better optimization. So I divided all the product in different asset group, and I went inside each individual asset group, creating images and better description. And that was phase one. Now, like 4 months later, the second phase of optimization has been into dividing the single one PMax that I was running into 3 different PMaxes divided by profit margin brackets. So I have
nice.
like 8, but between 90 to 100 different SKUs, and those ones are now divided into 3 different tiers that belong to 3 different PMaxes following your approach.
And I remember you told me, you and Roberto, when I first told you some of these recommendations, you guys were like, is this guy mad? Is he crazy? What was going through your head when I was saying all those things?
To be honest, because I was following you on YouTube, I trusted your advice. Like, I know that whatever you were going to tell me was based on some deep level of knowledge and experience, right? I can see you're just like the newer, younger guy that just started yesterday. So I trusted you. I was just scared. It was just more mental fear because my ROAS was quite high, and my target ROAS was quite high. So I was feeling like I was protected on my margin. When you told me to lower the ROAS and increase the budget, it was just a little bit fear, I suppose, more than anything else. And then, should I trust him? Should I not? You know what? Let's give him a shot. We try for a month and we see how we go. There is nothing worse. Like, there's nothing too bad that can happen.
Okay, so you gave it a go. It took some courage. And I remember actually saying to you, like, well, here's what I would do, but like, this is an aggressive approach and I would do that because I'm so confident, right? And I gave you another option. I was like, maybe if you're less confident, you could do it in increments. And then you just went, boom, like, just no, let's just go full aggressive, Daryl's exact recommendations. And credit to you, that took some courage. I normally, when talking to business owners like you, I normally say what I would do, and what I would do is often a bit more aggressive because I know what I'm doing and I'm so confident it's going to work. But for business owners such as yourselves, I often give that like step-by-step plan to get you there in a sort of slower and safer way, where like you just had the confidence and the courage and you just went for it. And I take it you saw some good results after that.
Again, the understanding of your level of expertise built some trust, and the worst case scenario, it wasn't too bad. So the appetite for risk was there, and we just decided, let's go for it.
Nice.
Hey guys, I wanted to let you know that if you're struggling with your Google ads and if you want to see if me and my team can deliver the kind of results that I got for Valerio but in your business, well, don't hesitate to book a meeting with me using the link in the description below this video. The link below will book a slot in with me personally, not a salesperson or a middleman, and on the call we'll talk about your Google ads, and if I think we're a good fit, I'll create for you a free Google Ads growth roadmap. The roadmap contains a fully customized recommendation for growing your Google ads, and it's free and no commitment. If that sounds good, link is in the description below the video. All right, let's get back to Valerio.
So you mentioned 5x revenue. Tell me a bit more about some of the results that you saw after working with me that first time.
Tremendous improvement. Obviously, it took about 2 weeks for that learning phase of the PMax to work its magic and understand better how to optimize based on the few tweaks that I've done on the campaign. But from there, it was just smooth sail. And that's why I love the PMax. Even you have different campaign type and you talk about different campaign type and I guess it depends how neat and greedy you want to go with the level of customization. But the beauty of the PMax is just from a business owner perspective, it doesn't require too much hands-on. There are couple of factors that you need to monitor from time to time to make sure that everything is running smoothly. The PMax, the technology itself, is doing the old magic, and in a world where AI and automation is leading the pace, especially with a company like Google, it's not too surprising that the kind of results are in line with the power of the technology. The biggest upside for us was moving from a business that was strictly reliant on marketplaces, hence the control of those platforms that continue on changing their rules and their fees structure, to now having direct control on our destiny. With Shopify, obviously, we have much more control. So with our own website, we have much more control over the whole customer experience, and massive upside for us.
How were the results, or how was the campaign performance in the months after we first worked together? I remember you said you had a new problem that you were encountering.
Sure. The PMax was so successful, and the whole transition was so good that we run out of stock. So trying to do really our best with the timing of the restocking, and we measure a lot of metrics to make sure that we are in time with our restocking. But to do that, we look at the past 3 months, we look at the speed of how much we are selling our product, and we make forecast decision on when and how much to restock. We did not anticipate the massive disruption that the PMax was going to bring, 3xing our sales from that one sales channel that is our website at the beginning, in 2-3 months. And like I mentioned, we start our engagement in October. So we had the end of October, November and December, which is the last quarter of the year approaching Christmas, which is historically the biggest for us. But that year specifically was huge. So
Nice.
We didn't expect that volume of sales.
It's a good problem to have. I think as business owners, we're always fighting one problem or another problem, but I think too much sales and not enough stock is one of the better problems. So what would you say to another business owner who was maybe in your situation beforehand with ROAS targets sky high and budgets that are strangling the account and settings a little bit off? Maybe this other business owner is scared to do some of these aggressive actions around cranking up the budget, lowering the ROAS target, and then relying on the campaign to just grow so much in sales that it's profitable for you. What would you say to that business owner who's scared to make that change?
Good question. The advice that I wish I would have received when I was in that position was to understand better the power of paid advertisement. I've underestimated the whole game. I thought that it was not reliable. Hence, I was scared to invest in it. So that's the first thing. Paid advertisement is the way to grow your business. And there is nothing that compares. SEO, I guess, is a nice to have, but you can't compare the power power and the efficacy of when you pay for something rather than something that you have to build organically, and the first algorithm change in Google is gonna bring everything's belly up. Especially again in a world of technology where the pace of artificial intelligence is changing everything from a technology perspective. Surely if you pay rather than if you try to build it organically, companies want to make profit. So the advice will be to do more research firsthand and understand what's the upside of paid advertisement, and then find someone that you can trust, that you think has got the right experience. Because really the ROI on the return on investment of engaging you is, like, looking back, just silly, hands down the best money I could have spent to grow my business.
Wow.
And then once you find the right person, just give him a shot and trust him.
That's right. That's all been awesome, by the way. Thank you so much for coming on the show and doing this with me. Let's close this out with one last question. If someone was on the fence about working with me or my company, Big Flare, what would you like to say to that person?
I smile because really there's no better choice that I could have done, and I would advise anyone in my position to do the same. Business owners are, especially in any kind of business, a bit competitive. So on one side, I would love to keep you like as my secret weapon and do not advertise too much the influence that you had. But on the other side, I wouldn't be honest intellectually to myself if I wouldn't recognize best decision ever. That's what I said from the get-go. My only regret is not to have you found sooner, and that would have made massive difference in the years, because the compounding interest that I would have accumulated if I would have met you 3 years before, right now I would be in a different position.
If Valerio's story resonated with you, the next video to watch is my breakdown of how to structure Performance Max campaigns for e-commerce properly, including the approach of splitting by profit margin that Valerio mentioned earlier in the video. I'm going to link that next video right up here for you. And if you're running an e-commerce business and wondering how to structure your PMax campaigns, I think you're really going to love this one, so I highly recommend it. All right, guys, see you in the next one.